Welcome to the Direct Line powered by 10Bet. I'm Nico Kritsiotis. On today's show, we've got special guests Corné and Zander Spies, fresh off their win with Hazy Daisy in the first leg of the Filkerbos Drift Triple Tiara this last Saturday at Turffontein. Later on in the show, we'll do our competition. No winner in the competition, so the pool is escalated to 2,000 Rand now for this week's show, and we'll be picking the winners, and I'll ask my guests to help me do that a bit later on. And finally, in Nico's notebook, we'll have a look at the objection which took place at Turffontein on Saturday between the 4th and 3rd placed runners in the first leg of the Triple Crown, the Tab Gauteng Guineas. And also we'll discuss the report that came out just a few days ago about Savannah Valgello. She's been a guest on the show before. She's giving up her apprenticeship and handed in her papers over the last few days. So that's some sad news out there, but we'll be discussing all of that on today's show. That's the Direct Line powered by 10Bet. Stay with us. Welcome to the first part of the show, and we got special guests in the studio. It's 2 generations of a 3-generational family involved in training racehorses, and that is the Spies family. We've got Corné and Zander Spies with us. And as I said earlier on, they won the first leg of the Filkerbos Triple Tiara on Saturday at Turffontein with a very good filly, Hazy Daisy, who stepped up to the plate and gave her contemporaries a sound beating in the first leg over 1,600 metres. And we welcome him to our studios here at the Direct Line. Thanks very much to Corné on my right and Zander on my left-hand side.
Thank you, Nico.
Thanks for coming in all the way from Randkiesfontein.
That's an honor.
So I wanted to chat to you guys. Obviously, as I mentioned, your dad was a racehorse trainer. In fact, my early days of starting out in racing and following racing, Toby was just a legendary trainer. He was there when those first juvenile races came out on the board, where they put big money into these big juvenile races. And I think he won the first 2. He won with Fast Gun.
That's right. And a horse called Mysterious Hell. We won the second and the third running of the Bloodline, Top Sport Bloodline Million back then. It was only run 4 times, and Roy Magner, that's still around, he won the first one with a horse called Leopard Strike.
Yeah.
And Tony Millard, I think, won the 4th one, and then they split it up, and obviously the funds dried up. But those were the good old days for the Spies yard. My dad won the Queen's Plate in with Yardmaster in 88. Yeah. And then obviously Fast Gun and Mysterious Hell followed up with those big wins in the very early 90s. So yeah, that was a golden age for our yard and for the family.
We were chatting about it just before we came on air, because the majority of the time you guys have been based out of the Vaal. Only recently have you moved your trading operation out more to the north of Joburg, which I think is the way that things are going.
Yes, Nico, I think it's obviously where everything's happening. The Vaal has done us very, very good over the years. My dad started there in 85. Before that he trained on the Armitage's stud farm, where he was a stud manager for them. And we've done very well from the Vaal and have very fond memories from it. And about 3 years ago, we started moving over to Randkies, and eventually, have the whole yard settled at Randkies now, and going well. The horses are running well from there. And we missed the Vaal.
Is Toby still involved?
My dad's still there every day.
Really?
He's getting old active, now, but
he's
it keeps him going. He lives for the horses. And it's always been his passion. And obviously he's instilled that in me and Zander. And it's a real privilege to have him around. It's a real source of knowledge, and a generation that's fast disappearing. So we are still very blessed to have
Absolutely,
him.
I agree with you. Zander, I wanted to find out more about your journey, because the way I looked at it when I saw you growing up and being part of the yard was that you weren't fully tuned into the yard because you were studying in your own profession to follow. What's the current state of affairs? Are you fully into this?
Yeah, so it's I think a rather complex topic to speak about or talk about. But yeah, I grew up around the horses, and I think when I was about 15 or 16 years old, the bug fully bit. You start conceptualizing the idea of racing and why it's important a bit better. So after adolescence, I really became involved. I wrote my stable employee's license at the age of 16,
Oh,
just
you
to
did? Okay.
just to be able to be part of a yard in that type of way to a great extent. And eventually, I wrote my assistant trainer's license, which I am still to the stable an assistant. But yeah, after high school, I went and I studied law. And subsequent to that, I did my articles, and I'm an admitted attorney currently. I've moved away from actively practicing in that way, or litigating rather, to have a bit more of a full job at the stable to kind of immerse myself in there. But I still consult on a legal basis quite frequently, and I'm also the chair of the Racehorse Owners Association.
Yeah, we could come to that. Yeah,
So-
because that's more involved on a different side of horse racing.
Completely.
But that must be quite a demanding task, because racing always needs to look at itself in the mirror and saying, how can we change this, the way the world is changing, to keep it more relevant?
I believe so, yes. And I think one of the main reasons why I offered my name as initially a director of Racehorse Owners Association, which is a members-based organization, is to infuse some youthful ideas within that. And I believe I've assisted in a few things, but ironically enough, my legal background has basically lent it more to me assisting in regulatory matters, specifically to the rules panel of the NHRA and being involved there. So ironically, I initially thought I would be more involved in the basically advertisement or advertising to the youth, but it's turned out that I'm being utilized as a more regulatory figurehead from that perspective, or from the owner's perspective. So interesting how things turn, but I guess in all honesty, that is where my speciality is, pertaining to that form of, let's call it, governance.
Tell anyone watching here, though, that by being involved to that extent in it, is there hope for the future in the sport? Because whenever I bump into people, they seem to be downtrodden about the future and where we're going.
I think it is a symptom of society as a whole that people are downtrodden about everything all the time. You can hear the same type of sentiment about any sport and anything in the world. Oh, the world's gone to hell and backwater. There's always a future to those that are optimistic. As long as there are people that are passionate about horse racing, specifically the benefactors that are very affluent and wealthy, then the sport will continue to exist for as long as they're willing to have it exist. Our job is to try and reintroduce the public to a great extent to the sport, which is slowly but surely, I think, happening, but it is still a long way to go. So it'll take a lot of dedication from someone like me and a lot of other people in the sport that are young and ambitious.
But it's great to see that you've got that much passion and your heart is in it, because, as we've discussed, your family's been involved in it for so many decades now that you wanted to succeed.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one speaks to a certain extent about legacy, and one wants to leave your own after a while. That's a great thing about family legacy. And you have to make your mark on the industry. There's a reason why people become so passionate about horse racing. You can feel the palpable feeling on the course when owners lead in a winner, or when a trainer has a big win, or when a young and up-and-coming jockey wins his first ever big race, or when a punter hits a big coup. That feeling is very addictive. I think we deal in addiction in horse racing, and not necessarily always in the negative connotation. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Let's go on to the topic now of Hazy Daisy, because I'm very interested to find out the backstory. So the way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you trained the mother, and the mother's name in Afrikaans means tomboy. Is that right? Rabadoo.
That's right. I think the grandmother sort of alludes to something like that. And we bought Rabadoo as a yearling, unnamed, if I remember correctly. So
you named it.
It's quite easy then to give Afrikaans names, because none of them are taken.
I don't necessarily like it because I don't speak Afrikaans.
I think the best one that I gave was a horse called Groen Gevaarte, which obviously an English commentator cannot pronounce. And
did it ever run?
It ran in Cape Town.
Oh,
We sold him, and he was actually exported to Mauritius.
Okay.
So I don't know how the French Creoles pronounced it, but yes. So Rabadoo is basically a tomboy in Afrikaans, and she was a real tomboy.
But she only had a few runs.
She only ran 3 times, Nico. She had a win, a second place in a future race, and she broke down in her third start. She basically shattered a sesamoid, and that ended her racing career. And to my own detriment, I used to breed quite a couple of mares, and obviously Rabideau, with the ability that she showed, although she was really mad as a hatter, went to stud, and we bred a filly with one of our partners called Bella Boop Boop, which I think is now racing for Corey Lensley.
Yeah, that's right. It was scratched yesterday. It was meant to run yesterday.
Yes, and she was by Patala Palace. Obviously, we had Sing for Rafa back then, and Patala Palace was hotcakes in my mind. And then the filly War of Athena took off, and she really ran well. And I thought to myself, well, it looks to me like this horse, Active War, if you could produce a filly like War of Athena, he's going to be a serious stallion to be reckoned with. And I actually bought a couple of shares in him, and Rabideau was one of the fillies that we sent to him. And by that time, obviously, COVID hit, and the horse population took a real knock. Yeah. I think we way down on numbers. And obviously in the training yard, that comes through, and that obviously inhibits your ability to have money to play around with breeding horses. And I decided, no, look, the breeding, let's concentrate on the training. We got to get rid of the brood mares. And David Makins, which has been a sort of long time patron of my dad, and he's gone full circle and come back to us. And he loved breeding. He lived for breeding racehorses, and he had some interesting ideas about it. Often, didn't go the popular route. And with him, breeding, I thought, well, okay, this filly Rabideau, it's worth, keeping as a broodmare. I wouldn't like to see it to just go to waste. And I spoke to him, and basically said to him, I'll give him the mare. She's in foal to Active War. But please, I want to train the foals when they do come. And he was too happy to take her. And Hazy Daisy basically got born when she was a very early foal. We made a trip down to Ingrid Klug's place there in KwaZulu-Natal. Ingrid, a very, very astute horsewoman, really does a good job. And I saw this little foal, and I thought to myself, well, that came out really nice. And a couple of months later, Mr. Makins passed away, which, a big loss to the industry. He's been... It's
sad that he wasn't here to see
it really is. And obviously the horses went into his deceased estate, and they went on sale. And we had a filly called Linger No More that Mr. Makins retired to stud, which I thought, well, she still had a couple of wins in her, but he was so passionate about breeding, he always just wanted to get them back to the stallions. And I took a drive down to Ingrid, basically to go and see what Linger No More looks like now, because a bit of a rest on the farm would have done her the world's good, but also to go and see this little foal that I saw from Rabideau. And we duly bought Linger No More on the online sale, and we got lucky to get Hazy Daisy as well. When I saw
same sale.
That was on the same online sale. And, obviously seeing her again as a very early yearling, then I thought to myself, well, okay, this went the right way. We got to really try and get her. And we got lucky and got her at 37.5.
You don't find prices. You mentioned that. That is an important thing to note to everyone watching. At 37,500 rand, you've stolen.
Nico, yes, you can say so, but it was very early in her yearling. I mean, she had just turned 1 year.
Yeah.
So the 37.5, yes, it sounds very, very cheap. But if you take the math and you look at, how long we had to keep her before she started running, then, it all adds up. So, the later you buy them, the less cost you have, the earlier you buy them. But still, it turned out to be an absolute bargain now.
What do you do when you buy it now and you say, right, who's going to take shares? I mean,
well, I actually,
what happens?
It's not like I've got money to throw around to buy horses with, but
you're just a racehorse trainer.
I spoke to, that's all we are. And I spoke to Rob McNair before, and obviously having seen her at the stud the previous week, I gave him a ring. He's one of our kingpins in our yard. Rob's been with us since 2002, and we've had so much fun together. And I said to him, look, there's this filly. I know it's very early. We're going to have to keep her for a long time, but if she goes for the right price, it'll be worth looking at. And we decided, okay, well, we'll push it to about 50,000, but that'll be the top, and he'll be in for half. And Rob was in from the start. And he got his friend Sergio Poriazes in, and later on through her career, we sold some shares on to some of the other patrons in the yard, and this is where we got to the partnership that she is now. And I'm sure everybody's having a lot of fun. She's pretty much paid over and over for herself by now.
It's amazing because she won with authority, but I have to commend Zander here, because when she won her most previous run, the previous run to that, you were on record. You went up for the interview and you told everyone straightforward, this horse is going to win. I think those were the words, win. That's what you said. And why were you so confident that day?
Well, so generally,
what happens in your backyard that no one else sees?
So the thing is, I think a lot of people brass a horse that they firstly see the breeding and they not like, okay, from a speedy dam line, probably won't stay. And then they look at other horses in the race that might be more fancied, other stables that are more bullish. And what we saw at home with Hazy Daisy was exceptional work. She can put some of our sprinters to sleep, which is very impressive for a horse that seemingly is looking for distance. And on the day, we didn't have as many good results as I would have hoped for. A lot of our horses had fancy chances and didn't turn out well. And when Hazy Daisy won, I just thought, okay, well, this is the real deal. It can fly home at the end. And she won with command in her penultimate start as well. It's not like she didn't have opposition. There was nothing breathing that she cleared and then eased up at the end. So after that race, I realized, well, this is the filly's equivalent of a Dingans. If everything goes right and her planning goes right, what else is there in Gauteng that'll beat her? Nothing. I mean, and you look at the form line subsequent to that race, so my prediction might have been a bit early, but subsequent to that race, the collateral form line that came out of it, almost every single horse that finished behind her in that race won subsequently. And then now into the Gauteng Guineas, people brassed her again. Said, well, okay.
Well, she was easy to back. I think she was 14-20 to 1 again.
Yeah, she at the end, I think she on the total was 25 to 1 when she jumped off. That's a substantial amount. Anyway, like Dad said, we're only trainers. Otherwise, it might have been shorter.
Yes.
So I really thought that if, again, 1,600 meters is on the sharp side for her. We know that she's looking for further, so we're a bit concerned about the 16. Will it turn into a sprint? Whatever the case may be. Luckily, it didn't. And again, she basically thrashed the field from a terrible draw.
Yeah, that wasn't a good draw.
So horses that from Cape Town, Justin's horse, Lowveld Lily, they thought very highly of and has very, very strong collateral form lines in weight for age races in Cape Town against all the fillies. So those form lines you can draw straight through. And then obviously a Golden Palm, Alan's horse that had such an exceptional 2-year-old career that it's almost unthinkable how well that filly did. To beat that filly having a very good draw against us having a very bad draw is exceptional. So I think my prediction might come true. I mean, it stays horse racing. Anything can go wrong, and anything that will go wrong can go wrong. But we're on track, and the work that she shows, Nico, it's hair raising.
Well, there we go. I mean, that's the story. I mean, the storyline with regards to both the Triple Tiara and the Triple Crown, for people that don't know, is they are 3 races spread out over a couple of months. And if you win all 3 legs, of either the Colts or the fillies equivalent, you'll get an extra bonus too. But the choice, Corne, of keeping young Trent Mayhew on is the important thing here. because it's all that I believe in horse racing, that you've got to be loyal. You've shown that with Trent, and wasn't that just a magic moment that he was there? And what a ride!
Yes, Nico, he really did very well from where he was drawn. I mean, we obviously aimed for the Triple Tiara, and with the Guineas, like Zander said, I was really hesitant whether Hazy would do well in top company over a mile. That's why we tried her in the Phillies mile, is just to basically test what whether we're dreaming or can we maybe go for the Triple Tiara, because the next two legs that I'm pretty confident on. It was the mile that really worried me, and she won so well in the Phillies mile, and then you nominate for this Phillies Guineas, and you get a draw of 18 initially,
yeah.
And you think to yourself, yo, I mean, you basically jump on the turn at Turffontein. You've just got a couple of 100 meters before you turn. So to get over from a draw like that, and if you get caught wide, you're not only running further, you also have to run faster just to keep up. So that is normally a nail in the coffin for a horse if you have a bad draw. And in these future races, nobody gives an inch. So I must really commend Trent for getting her over and getting her into a position from where he was drawn. Look, we did have the discussion. We did sort of plan the race. We did, but the best made plans in racing come undone very quickly. Yeah. And to get back to Trent, he's been working in the mornings at the track, and visiting in the afternoon at the yard, and he's been extremely dedicated. He works very, very hard, and I believe that should be rewarded. He's been with Hazy Daisy basically from day one. Some of the races he couldn't ride because he couldn't make the weight, but he rides her every morning. Even in the slow canter work, they've just formed such a team that it was just obvious that he had to ride her. And it's great when a plan comes together like that. And what a ride, but also what an opportunity for a youngster to actually be able to ride a filly that you could win something like the Triple Tiara with. I think there's very few appies. I think Juglal a couple of years ago for Mr. Ferraris could do it. But in general, it's very hard to also convince the owners to not go for the best jockey. So it puts a lot of pressure on the trainers' shoulders. But in knowing that Trent knows the filly so well, and the team that they formed, it was an obvious choice. Now, obviously, with Trent, I mean, we were talking about generations now. I mean, Trent grew up at the Vaal there, basically in front of my eyes. I mean, he was a naughty little boy running around the place there, sort of causing all sorts of...
I know, he used to come into my commentary box as well as a little kid.
Yes, yeah. But here's the thing, is he is a youngster that grew up in racing, understands it, lives for it, and wants to make a name for himself.
And has got ability.
And he's got the ability. I really think he's a youngster that's got a bright future ahead of him. I mean, obviously with his dad being a trainer, his grandfather an owner, he's also kind of come a couple of generations, and it's such a pleasure and an honor to actually give him the opportunity, see him progress, and see him becoming the young boy that we can all be proud of. And I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Obviously with his brother-in-law Ryan Munger giving him a couple of pointers, he's in a very good position, I think, to go places.
Brilliant, yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I want to come back to a couple of your horses who may have been a bit disappointing in the past week. Zander, the two sprinters, William Robertson, we know there was the well-documented issue at the start, and Ryan hurt his one leg, and I think he said to me yesterday he may even have a broken toe. But William Robertson is such a crack sprinter, and unfortunately things didn't pan out with him. And then African Pride didn't go so well at the Vaal this last week. Those are two of your promising horses, both laden with ability, and surely they're much better than that, both of them.
Yeah. I mean, William, I guess, doesn't need to prove much anymore. I wouldn't call him promising. He's already established, is the right word. I think he's the only current running horse in the country that has 16 victories under his belt. Is obviously, I'm talking about currently running horses. And he's done it.
But has he got long? Has he still got?
Yeah, well, to be completely honest with you, I think he's still got 3 seasons left in him.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's competitive and he's happy, which he is, then we'll continue running him. It was just very unfortunate that Ryan hurt his leg coming out of the stalls. And when a jockey cannot sit or mount the horse properly during a race, that jockey is going to try and protect himself and the horse. So you can kind of draw a big red line.
Well, Cornet was saying he only finished 6 lengths off them,
which is amazing considering the fact that he was ridden like a cowboy.
That's amazing.
So he was very well for the day. Just draw a line through that to all the people.
Would he still go for races like a computer force?
100%. That's still the plan. So we're looking. I think the next race for him that we have planned on the cards, the Jojo Jet Plane Stakes, a Grade 3 race. I think it's on the 7th of March. He won that last year. We'll be going for it again. And then straight into the computer form sprint.
Okay. And your other horse, African Pride?
African Pride is a horse that shows exceptional ability on the training track. He makes very good horses look very average, which is perplexing because he's such a big individual, and I think he might be mentally immature still. He might come into his best as a 4-year-old maybe. So every single time he's run, I think he'd win, and then sometimes he finds a way to not win. He has won 2 very good races this season so far, and has had a semi-black type place in a listed sprint, I think the Labello sprint, short head. But subsequent to that, we've struggled to keep him on form. So I think we're going to give him a bit of time, get him to mature a bit, and bring him out when we think he's completely ready again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to finalize the discussion, before I ask you to help me pull out a winner for this week's competition, Cornet, just on your side, juveniles in your yard, you guys are always known for having top juveniles in your yard. It's become obviously a lot more competitive out there in the space. But what's your juvenile ranks looking like?
Yes, Nico, the juvenile racing is always very, very interesting. The other filly that we haven't mentioned is a filly like Elegantrix. She won a future race this season. We're probably going to aim her more at the sprinting races. So between Hazy and Elegantrix on the filly side, and William and African and Chocolate Soldiers making his way back. So there's a couple of very nice prospects in our older horses. But the juveniles, we were really well supported by our owners last year, and we managed to get some very, very nice youngsters. That comes with, young baby races are always interesting, and working them up, there's all sorts of problems, shin soreness being a big one these days. And, we have a lot of them that's gone that route, that you have to back off then and wait for them, and then they come back again. So there's a good couple of them waiting in the wings. We really managed to get a high quality string of yearlings at sales last year, and I think we'll make an impact with them this year. We've had the 2 runners so far. A horse called Spirited Gabs. He's won a race already and placed, and a filly called Northern European that's been a bit unlucky with her starts, but I think there's a lot to come from her still. She's a very nice, solid filly. So those are the 2 runners, and I think the guys can sort of keep an eye open for when we step the others out. Like I say, we really managed to buy probably the best quality draft of 2-year-olds we've ever been able to secure as a yard. And I'm really hopeful that it'll serve our patrons well in future. And obviously, We've got the sales coming up now again. 1st of March, there's the BSA sale in Cape Town, and then the main Cape Town sale on the 13th and the 14th of March. In between, we got to come back for Hazy Daisy's classic run, and obviously William probably.
But you've got boxes open.
There's always boxes open, Nico. There's always space for more. Yeah. So this is the thing, with we spoke about it with COVID hitting. It's really decimated the horse population, and with a place like Kimberley open back then at the Vaal, we had I think it was 168 horses in training when COVID hit. And the yard's down to, I think, 36 now. So, but we've got quality. So it's not a quantity setup. We've got some real quality horses. And I think it'll be worth following the youngsters when they do come out.
So you can make sure that you catch up if you do see either Cornet, Zander, or even Toby Spies for that matter at a horse sale coming up in the next month. Make sure you contact them to find out what they're all about and how you can get into their yard. Now, I'm not letting my guests go away just yet. I've got one final duty for them to do before we say goodbye, and let's go straight into our competition now. Okay, it's time for the competition now, and we've got our entrants for this week's competition. As I said, I've kept Cornet and Zander Spies with me because they're going to help me do the draw. Now, all you have to do to enter the draw is just send your name and your phone number to our email address, thedirectlinesa@gmail.com. That's one word, thedirectlinesa@gmail.com. Just all you have to do is send your name and phone number to that, and you'll be part of the draw. We've got a lot of entrants this week. A lot of people have taken up the opportunity where we are playing for 2,000 rands worth of 10-bet betting vouchers this week. So who's it going to be? Let's ask Cornet. Get your hands in there. Cornet, and pick out a winner.
Right, there we go.
Okay, let's have a look.
There you go, you have a look.
Open that up. And the winner is, for this week, Marina Meyer. I think that's the way you pronounce it, or Maija. Marina Maija, you are the winner of this week's competition. So we will be in touch with you. But now the question is, if we just empty this out over here behind me, which meeting are we tipping on? And the reason I ask that is because we've got 3 meetings this weekend. Remember, Saturday is Valentine's Day, so we have a double header on Saturday. We've got racing at Turffontein in Joburg, and we've got racing at in Cape Town as well. And then on Sunday, we've got racing down at KwaZulu-Natal. So the question is, let me just check that that's Marina. We've got 3 race meetings. They go in the hat here. And I'm going to ask Zander to please pick out one of the 3 meetings that we're going to be betting on, or tipping on rather, that Marina will come up against me. Now, remember, the rules of the competition state that Marina has to beat me in terms of the winners. We tip on the last 6 races of the day, and Marina has to beat me, not tie with me. If she ties with me, the money gets carried over and we'll be playing for 2,500 rand next week. The meeting is Turffontein. So it's Saturday at Turffontein that we're going to be tipping on. And finally, Cornet is going to join me because is Marina, this is for Marina now, is Marina tipping on the odd or the even numbers on the last 6 races of the day? And Cornet, you can open that up
there
for
you go.
me. Does it say odds or evens?
We'll open it quickly. Marina's on evens.
So Marina's on evens. So if there are 9 races on the day, Marina will be picking races 4, 6, and 8, and then she'll come up against me. I'll be picking 5, 7, and 9. You only pick one horse in each race, and hopefully, Marina, you are the winner. We'll be in touch with you, as I said, over the next couple of days. Well, thanks very much to our special guests, Cornet Spies and Zander Spies. It's been a great pleasure hosting you. All the best with your administrative duties within horse racing. I know it's challenging, but I know you'll do the best for the game.
Thank you so much, Nico. I'll try. That's the only thing I can promise.
And with you, Cornet, just all the best with Hazy Daisy and the route onto the Triple TR. We always love seeing a horse that can win all 3 legs, and I think you may well have a horse in that.
Thank you, Nico. It's never over till it's over, and there are some serious opposition, but we'll give it our best.
That's Cornet and Zander Spies, part of Spies Racing, and they have been the special guests on today's The Direct Line, powered by 10Bet. Well, we finish off with Nico's notebook on the show today, and 2 bits of information from the last week, one of which is pretty sad, and that is the news that apprentice jockey Savannah Valgello has effectively hung up her racing irons with immediate effect in the report that came out just a couple of days ago. It was published actually on Tuesday. The South African Jockey Academy said that it is with great respect and understanding that they announced the cancellation of the indentures of second-year apprentice jockey Savannah Valjallo following her personal decision to step away from the apprenticeship at this time. And it goes on to speak about her journey through racing. I know it was a very difficult journey for Savannah to get to where she was. I believe that she was just improving with each and every ride. But you could see it was taking its toll on her. We had her as a guest on the show, and maybe we can get her back to speak about the trials and tribulations that she faced. But at the end of the day, she has given up her apprenticeship, and we wish Savannah and her family all the best going forward. The next bit of news is revolving around an objection in the first leg of the Triple Crown, the TAB Gauteng Guineas on Saturday. What happened when the horses crossed the line? A race review was announced on course. The race review was involving the third and the fourth placed horses in the Gauteng Guineas. The third placed horse was One Eye on Vegas from the De Kock Racing Yard, which came from near last to run into third, and the very well backed Trust from the Candice and Tammy Dawson yard, which ran fourth. Eventually, it resulted in an objection lodged by the jockey, Serena Mudley, against the third-placed horse, One Eye on Vegas and Sean Veal. Well, varying bits of information have filtered through since Saturday with regard to the announcement of the objection, the fact that there was an objection hooter sounded, the fact that One Eye on Vegas's trainers, both Matt and Mike De Kock, both of who were at Turfington on the day, were not called into the objection hearing, so did not participate in that discussion, hence the end result, which was an upholding of the objection, where Trust was placed third and One Eye on Vegas was demoted from third to fourth. But it sparked a number of issues. What I did do yesterday when I was racing at the Vaal was I went to speak to Chief Stipendiary Steward Lyle Anderson to ask him if it was possible for me to get the different bits of footage that they have in order to see how they made their decision. And he was perfectly open with me. He said, Nico, you can get that footage, which I'll be able to get in the next 48 hours to be able to see how they came to the decision. Because on the angles that were exposed to us and to you, the racing public, even us as commentators on the day, it's only a side-on and only one side-on. They get multiple views of the side-on and only the head-on. We don't get a back view. So it's very difficult for me to mention what my opinion is. My initial opinion was that the result should have stayed the same. But giving them the benefit of the doubt, I have asked them for that different footage to have a look at to come to an ultimate decision personally for me as a racing correspondent and as a commentator. So we'll report back on that next week on the show. Hope to update you then. But the facts of the matter are that One Eye on Vegas was demoted from third to fourth. Trust was promoted from fourth to third on the result of a successful objection that was lodged by the rider, Serena Mudley, against from fourth against third. The distance between them, by the way, which is always an interesting aspect, was half a length. The official distance between third and fourth was exactly half a length. And I think some people are querying the distance between them. But again, we'll revert to that decision once we have a look at the extra footage that will be made available to us. That wraps it up for this week's show. My special thanks go out to the Spies family, especially to Corné and Zander Spies, not forgetting their dad, Toby Spies, who was the doyen within the Spies family that started off this training business and that has kept them going for many generations. It's been my pleasure hosting the show. Don't forget to follow the competition. Well done to our winner, Marina. And we'll be in touch with you. And from the 10Bet team and from me, Nico Kritzelis, thanks for watching The Direct Line. Speak to you again next week. Bye-bye.